So December 2023, question 4B. We can look at that, December 2023, question 4B. That's a question on WSCC. We are told that the following is an extract of statement of financial position for Oak Timber Limited for the year ended 30th September 2023. So we have Oak Timber Limited, extract of statement of financial position for the year ended 30th September 2023. So we have equity and liabilities. Equity tuko na share capital, retained earnings, that's the total of equity. Non-current liabilities, so equity tutapata KE kwa equity. Non-current liability, you have the long-term borrowings. Kwa long-term borrowings tutapata KD, cost of debt. Then of course current liabilities, total liabilities, equity and liability, have them there. So from this question, let's continue and see. The share capital of Oak Timber Limited consists of 12 million of ordinary shares and 5 million 5% irredeemable preference shares. So kwa ordinary shares tuko na KE, kwa preference shares tuko na KP. Cost of E for equity, P for preference shares, K for cost. Cost of equity, cost of preference shares. The ordinary shares of Oak Timber Limited have a nominal value of 0.5 per share. Nominal value ni sawa na par value. An ex-dividend market price of 7.07 per share and cum dividend market price of 7.52 per share. The dividend for the year 2023 will be paid in the near future. So meaning 2023 is the expected dividend for the near future. Future dividends. Dividends paid in recent years have been as follows. So by the in the near future is not next year. In the near future is dividends for the year just ended. The dividends for 2024, kampuni mingi zimekuwa zinazilipa after February, after the audit. So dividends for the year just ended are payable in the near future. So here is DO. Let it not confuse us to be D1. For it to be D1, you must be told expected next year, expected dividends next year's. The information should be about next year or expected to be D1. So you have dividends paid in present years have been as follows. Now there's something I want to explain on note number 2. In finance, we have two things. We have cum and we have another term called X. Cum is from the word cumulative. It means with. X is exclusive. It means without. So if they talk about cum dividends, they mean cumulative of dividends with dividends. So that is the price with the dividends. X is without the dividends, exclusive of the dividends. Now, if I have the cum dividend share price and I have the X dividend share price, the difference between with and without is actually those dividends. So if I want to get the DO, or yenye examiner ameficha, the DO will be equals to the cum div minus the X div. The price with the dividends minus the price without the dividends will actually give me the value of the dividends. I think that makes some sense. Hi. And now, again, what I wanted to clarify is the market value, the PO, be it PO ama the market value of the debentures will always be at X dividends. Shares are always valued at X dividends. If wakisema the price is cum dividends, please remove the dividends. Remove the dividends. It should always be X dividends. So examiners anapenda kuchokora na maneno kama hayo. Now, Let's continue reading. The 5% irredeemable preference shares of Oak Timber Limited have a nominal value of 0.5 per share and an ex-dividend market price of 0.31. See, that is ex-dividend. They should always be at ex-dividends, which is okay. Ingekuwa it come dividends, tungetafuta hizo dividends tuzitoe. The long-term borrowing of the firm consists of 10 million of 7% loan notes and 3 million bank loan. The bank loan has a variable interest rate. The 7% loan notes have a nominal value of 100 shillings per loan note and a market price of 102.34 per loan note. Annual interest has just been paid and the loan notes are redeemable in 4 years' time at a rate of 5% premium at nominal value. Tax is 30%. Wanataka tupate cost of equity. So KE. So KE was equals to, do you remember the DO? Into 1 plus G. We divide by PO. So we divide by PO. Then we add G plus G. So there you go. So KE equals to DO into 1 plus G over PO. Kama kuna discount tuna less, kama kuna flotation cost tuna less, then you add your G. Now do you have our DO? We have the CAM dividend, note number 2. The ordinary shares have a nominal value of 0.5 and an ex-dividend market price of 7.07 and CAM dividend 7.52, right? So CAM div, I think CAM div of 7.52 minus ex-div of 7.07. So that becomes our DO. That becomes our DO. Hi. So now our G, how do we get G? Remember our formula? The nth root of the most recent dividend over the most past dividend. So our n, when you look at it, where n is equal to number of years less 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have the nth root, that is 4. Then we have the root. So the fourth root, the most current dividend, is it 0.43? Dividend ya kitambo kabisa ni 0.37. So we get the fourth root of this. Then our answer, we subtract 1. So it's the fourth root, not 4 raised to. It's the fourth root. So now use our calculators to get the fourth root. What do we have?
0.038. I'm not sure.
0.038
After subtracting 1.
after subtracting
Yes.
1.
Yes.
So that is our fourth root. So that is our G. Do we have our PO? PO tulisema is always the XDiv. Our XDiv tuliambiwa ni 7.07. 7.07. So can we have our KE? Our D of 0.45. 0.45. I do it here. 0.45 into 1, can I say 1.038?
Yes.
1.038 divide by the market price per share, tumeona ni 7.07. Then everything we add, we add 0.038. So there we go. So kufinya kwa calc, what is your answer? Make it a percentage by multiplying by 100.
%10.4%.
10.4%. So hiyo ni KE. Great. So that is our first 3 marks. Next 2 marks, they want us to get the KP, information about the preference shares, note number 3. The 5% irredeemable preference shares of OC have a nominal value. Remember the formula of KP? Preference dividends we divide by the market value. Kama kuna discount tuna less, kama kuna flotation cost tuna less. The same is the case kwa KE. Kama kuna discount na flotation cost tuna less. In our case hatuna, so no problem. We'll always make them a percentage. So our preference dividends, it's 5% irredeemable preference shares. Does it have a par value? A nominal value of 0.5. So therefore dividend becomes 5% of, what is the par value? 0.5. Then we divide by what is the market value? And an ex-dividend market price of 0.31. So as a percentage, What do we have? Right.
8.0506. No,
8.06%.
01. Sorry.
No, no, 8.06. Check. 8.06.
It's the same. It's only that they will round off to 1 decimal point.
Na round off inakunyorosha. Don't round off too much. At least 2 decimal places. Then number 3, they want us to get the KD, the cost of 7% loan notes. Note number 5 gives us the information about the loan notes. The 7% loan notes have a nominal value of 100 per loan note and a market price of 102.34. Annual interest has just been paid and the loan notes are redeemable in 4 years' time at 5% premium. So therefore, for loan notes, you remember the formula of KD for the redeemable bonds? Interest plus 1 over what? 1 over n into market value minus the par value, ama the book value, and everything we divide by a half into market value plus the par value, ama the book value. And all this we adjust for tax. So interest plus 1 over n into the market value minus the par value. Then we have divide by a half, par value plus the book value, market value plus the book value. Now, do we have our interest? Do you have our interest? 10%. It was 7%. The par value is 100.
7.
So 7% of 100. Naona hiyo ni 7 shillings. Do you have n? Redeemable after how long?
4 years. Huh?
So you have n, which is 4 years. Do you have the market value? It has a market value. Is it 102.354?
102.
102.34. And the par value of the book value, naona wametuambia ni 100. Tax pale chini ni 30%. So therefore, KD would be equals to so interest is 7 plus 1 over what? 1 over 4 into market value is 102.34 minus the book value of 100. And everything we divide by a half into 102.34 plus 100. Tafanya hii hesabu na ukimaliza una multiply by 1 minus 0.3. 0.3, which is like 0.7. Find out what the calculator gives us. And of course, you always make it a percentage.
Yeah.
No, ilete.
I'm getting 4.9%.
4.9%. Confirm. There? Great. So 4.9%. So you have the KE, KP and KD. Mbona hatujaulizwa to calculate ile KD ya pili? Because walituambia the note number for the long-term borrowing of the firm consists 10 million 7% loan notes and 3 million bank loan. The bank loan has a variable interest rate. So hatujapewa that variable interest rate ya bank loan. That's why you cannot get its KD. For you to get the KD, you must have a way of getting the interest. In this case, we've just been told the interest rate on the bank loan is variable, but we've not been given the average rate in ngapi. That's why you cannot get the KD ya your bank loan. Very important. Now, the WSCC, the steps of calculating WSC, if we can remember, step number 1 was the component costs. Step number 2 was to calculate the weights. Now let's see how to calculate the weights. We have the source. And we need to get the amount. The amount can have it vile wameziweka in millions of shillings. So the amount is in millions. Now, source ya kwanza tuko na equity. When it comes to the amount, what we are looking for, we are asking ourselves, what is the market value of equity? The market value of equity. And to get the market value of equity is very simple. The number of ordinary shares times the market price per share. How many shares does this company have? The share capital of Oak Limited consists shillings 12 million of ordinary shares. So ordinary shares book value yake ni 12 million. What is the par value per share? Note number 2, 0.5. So how many shares does the company have? How many shares were issued at 0.5 shillings each to get a total of 12 million? 12 million divided by 0.5 will give us the number of shares. And on the market, each share is selling at how much? X dividend, remember? 7.07. Hii hata usihustle sana. Ile ulitumia kucalculate KE, ile denominator yako, that is the market value. The one you use to calculate KE. Otherwise, iko kwa note number 2, the X dividend. So can we have the market value of equity? 12 divided by 0.5 times 7.07. That is our market value of equity. So that takes care of equity. The number of shares times the price per share. The number of shares times the price per share. Now, after equity, we need the preference shares. Preference shares. How many preference shares does the company have? So we have shillings 5 million of preference shares. Can we have the par value per preference share? Note number 3. The 5% irredeemable preference shares of Oak Limited have a nominal value of 0.5. So therefore, the value is 5 million divided by 0.5 to give us the number of shares. And on the market, each preference share was issued at 0.31. Hope you're able to see that. Huku ikikusumbua unarudi huku, ile ilikusaidia kama market value. Ile ilikusaidia kama market value is the same thing. Otherwise, it's not number 3. Ex dividend market price of 0.31. So therefore, the market price equals to 5 divided by 0.5 times 0.31. So we have there the market value of preference shares. Then we have debt. The loan notes. We'll just join again if we are disconnected. So the loan notes. How many loan notes do we have? The long-term borrowing consists 10 million 7% loan notes. The par value is 100. So we are having 10 million divided by 100. On the market, each loan note is selling at how much? 102.34. So therefore, for the loan notes, we have 10. Where are we? 10 divided by 100 times 102.3. So there we go. So you have the amounts, equity, preference shares, and loan notes. We don't need the amount for the bank loan because it's not part of our costs. So ni zinafika hapo. So our total is there. Now, we need to get the weights. So it's the source, amount, then we have the weight. Now to get the weight are actually the proportions. Imezima tena. What is the proportion of equity in the total? The weight of equity becomes the value of equity divided by the total. So equals to the value of equity divided by the total. That is the weight of equity. I always say play with 3 decimal places. The weight of preference shares becomes the value of preference shares divided by the total. imekuchajiwa tu saizi. Then the weight of the loan notes equals the value of loan notes divided by the total. And your total weight must always add up to 1. Should always be 1. So 3 decimal places. So the total of the weight should always be 1. Great. So therefore, our WSCC will be equals to weight of equity times cost of equity plus weight of preference shares times cost of preference shares plus weight of debt times cost of debt. Our weight of equity is 0.927 times the cost of equity. Cost of equity pale juu ilikuwa ngapi? 10.4. 10.4. So times 10.4. Put it as it is. Plus the weight of preference shares 0.017 times the KP. KP you can see 8.06. 8.06 plus the weight of debt 0.056 times the cost of debt 4.90. So that one gives us the WSCC, and this answer is always a percentage. It's always a percentage. I think there we go. Let's come up with a swali. So that is our 4 marks. That is 4 plus 5 plus 3, at least 12 marks for us there. Let's try get one more. Where it doesn't make sense, feel free to ask. So you have this question 2B. Question 2B of April 2023. April 2023, question 2B. Let's go through it together. So factors that a firm should consider when making financing decisions. Factors that influence the firm's capital structure. It can also be put that way. So firms that influence the firm's capital structure, firms that are considered when making financing decisions. You must always consider several factors when deciding on how to raise the funds. One of the factors is the cost of capital. Cost of capital is a factor that you should consider. Another factor you should consider is the quotation at the stock market. Are your shares selling at the stock market? That's a factor to consider. If you're selling at the stock market, it becomes easier to raise funds. by engaging the public. Another factor to consider is availability of security stroke collateral. If you have security, you can easily go for a loan. Can easily go for a loan because kuna collateral. Kama hauna security, itakuwa ngumu kupata pesa kutumia loan. Then another factor that you may consider is government policy. Government policy on lending. What is the minimum lending rate of the government? Ile yenye CBK huwa ina determine. So those are the factors that can be considered. You can also consider the flotation costs. But hizo factors zenye unazitafuta zitafute kwa kufigure out the formulas. Formula ya KE ni nini? Dividends. So another factor to consider can be the dividend rate. Dividend rate. So you just focus on the cost of on the formulas. The formulas hapo ndo penye hizo marks ziko. Now, number B. The following information was extracted from the financial statements of Rainbow Limited for the year 2022. Ordinary shares 750,000 shares, retained earnings 8% preference shares and 10% debentures. The preference shares were originally sold in 2014 at 104. Original price is the par value. The current price is 94, although a similar issue can be made at 89. So kama price ni 94 na ukini mtu anaweza inunua na 89, inamaanisha kuna discount ya 5 bob. No one will no if you are given an option of buying at 89, you'll never go for 94. So our price will be 89. That's why pale tulisema in case of a discount of flotation cost, it reduces the price. So hapo ziko discounted from 94 to 89. Ordinary shares are currently selling at 38.4 on the Securities Exchange. The debentures were sold in 2015 and realized 96 per unit. The current price is 80. And it is anticipated that a similar issue should also sell at 80 per unit. Tax is 30%. Last year's dividend amounted to 3 million, which was 70% of the net earnings. The company expects these dividends to grow at the rate of 6% per annum and the dividend payout ratio to remain the same. New ordinary shares can be sold at 40, but in order to guarantee success, they would have to be sold at 35. Pia ziko na discount. They want us to get cost of preference shares. So KP. Let me borrow it here. So our KP equals to that. So do we have the dividends? Our preference dividend for the preference shares originally, so preference shares ziko hapa juu 8% of preference 8% preference shares, the par value is 100. So meaning our dividend is 8%. 8% times 100. The preference shares were originally sold at this. The current share price is 94, although they can be sold at 89. So the market value will be 89. You make it a percentage by multiplying by 100. 8 over 89 times 100. Equals to 8 divided by 89. Times 100. 8.98. or 99%. Hiyo ni preference shares. Can we have KE? So formulate your KE. Allow me to borrow it from here also. So KE, there we go. Do we have our DO? The last dividend amounted to 3 million, which was 70% of the net earnings. So our DO, do we have the dividend per share? We've been given the total dividends. Do we have number of shares? Number of shares iko hapa. To give us the DO is the dividend for 1 share. So last year, the dividends that were paid were 3 million. 3 million. Divide by how many shares? 750,000. So the dividend per share becomes 4 shillings, right? That is our DO. Hope that is clear. Do you have the G? The growth rate tulipewa 6%. 6%. Hiyo tulipewa. Do you have the PO? New ordinary shares. Achana na hizi za huko juu. We are focusing on what is currently happening in the company. New ordinary shares can be sold at 40, but in order to guarantee success, they would have to be sold at 35. So can we have our KE? So DO is 4 into 1 plus. Can I say 1? K. 1.06. 1 plus 0.06 and 6%. Then you divide by the PO, which is 35. And everything you add your G. And our G is 0.06. 0.06. If you make it a percentage, four times 1.06 divide by 35 plus 0.06. I think niko sawa. 18.11%. Great. So hiyo ni KE. Can we have KD? Redeemable or irredeemable? Hawajatuambia kwa hiyo debentures iko na maturity. Ile ingine ilikuwa na maturity ya 5 years. Ya 4 years. With 4, 5. 4 years. Hii ya saizi hakuna mahali kuna maturity. So that means this debenture or this bond is irredeemable. So our KD equals to interest divided by what? So you have interest, we divide by the market value. Kama kuna discount una less, kama kuna flotation cost una less. Then of course, we should remember to adjust for tax. So our interest, the debentures were sold in 2015 and realized 96 per unit. The current price, debentures kumbuka hapo umesema 10% debentures. The original price was in 2015, which was 96, but today they can be sold at 80. Na mtu mwenye atanunua still atanunua na 80. So meaning our interest becomes 10%, 10% times the original price was 96. Then we divide by the market value ambayo ni 80. And we remember to adjust for tax. So all this, can I do times 0.7? 1 minus 0.3. Tax wamesema ni 30%. There. If you don't guess tax rate, if the tax has not been given, then tax is 0. Yeah, so inakuwa 1 minus 0, which is like which you don't need to put it there. 1 minus 0 is 0, sindio? Is 1, sorry. So if you multiply by 1, itabaki the same. But under cost of capital, you'll always be given the tax rate. So 0.1 times 96 divide by 80 times 0.7. That is 8.4%. Then finally, they want us to get the market weighted average cost of capital, WSCC. Work a formula. The weight of equity, cost of equity, weight of preference shares, cost of preference shares, weight of debt, cost of debt. Great. So again, in the same spirit, we need the source, we need the amount, and we need the weight. The figures are in thousands of shillings. You can still embrace that. So shillings, thousands. So our source number 1, you can start with any. Let's start with equity. Let's start with equity. How many shares do we have? Si hapa examiner amekuwa generous, akatupia the number of shares pale kwa capital structure. 750 shares. Otherwise, 15,000 divided by 20. It will give me 750. How many shares were issued at 20 shillings each to get a total of 15,000? 15,000 divided by 20. That is 750. And on the market, the shares were issued at how much? Focus on what helped you to get the KE. Wakienda kununua shares wananunua na 35. So don't be confused with these others. Mara ordinary share currently sell at 38.4. It's 38.4, yes, but as far as this company is concerned, it's selling at 40, but they'll get it at 35. So hii ingine achana nayo. we ng'ang'ana na ile imekusaidia kucalculate KE. That should be your prize. Sasa, so therefore we have 750 times 35. That is the amount. That is for equity. Can we have for preference shares? How many shares do we have? Is it 5,000 divided by 100? 5,000 divided by 100 gives us the number of shares. On the market, each preference share is selling at how much? Ilikusaidia kwa calculate KP. I think 89. 89. So focus on what helps you to calculate KP, KE na KD. Otherwise, ukirudi huku, you are likely to get confused. Somebody can easily take 104. Ama mwingine atumie 94. But we know it is 89 that is all we are focusing on. So times 89.
Mwalimu, excuse me, where are you getting the 5,000?
5,000 is here. How many shares were issued at 100 shillings each to get a total of 5,000?
Oh.
So the value divided by the par value to get the number of shares. That's fine, right? So 5,000 divided by 100 times 89. So there we go. Finally, debentures, ama debt. How many debentures do we have? Do I do 7,500 divided by what? Divided by 96. Seven 500 divided by 96, right? 96 wameificha, ingekuwa hapa chini, lakini si hapa tulipewa the par value of the debentures, not number 3. The original price in 2015, that is the same as the par value, which is 96. And on the market, each debenture is selling at how much? I think 80. Ilitusaidia pale kwa KD. 80. Discount flotation cost ina reduce the price. So there we go. And we get the total. Can we have the weights? The weight of equity, value of equity divided by the total. The weight of preference shares equals value of preference shares divided by the total. The weight of debt equals value of debt divided by the total. Total is always 1. At least 3 decimal places. Great. So therefore, our WSEC becomes the weight of equity 0.71 times, do we have the cost of equity pale juu? 18.11 plus weight of preference share 0.12 times, do we have the KP? 8.99. 8.99 plus the weight of debt 0.169 times the KD 8.4. Hiyo hesabu naweza nikafanya. That you save the energy. So you have it there 15.35, 15.36%. Any swali? Sorry. So saying sorry for that. I was saying that is it with the WSCC. We just need to do more practice on that so that in the next class we talk about the WMCC. But I want to give you a question so that you can attempt where it brings some problems. We can share. You can share well in advance. There is question 3C. Question 3C of April 2022. Just note it somewhere. Question 3C of April 2022. Jaribu hiyo. At least two will be good. Let me get one more. Hii ni WMCC, achana nayo kwanza. WMCs we are going on Friday, God willing. There's also NCC. May 2021. November 2020. Question number 3B. Na usiogope ukubwa wa swali. It's the same place. Just use the relevant information. November 2020, COVID sitting, question 3B. So try those ones out. Where you get some challenges, you can share the challenges before tufike your class so that you don't spend some time ya class kwanza kujibu maswali. Sasa, unless there's any question.